Hey guys, and welcome back to yet another episode. Today we'll be taking a look at Shadow of Destiny, a very unique cinematic adventure game developed and released by Konami for the PlayStation 2 back in 2001. The storyline, in a nutshell, is centered around our protagonist Ike, who's tasked with traveling through time to prevent his own murder and ultimately reveal the true identity of his killer. Ike is helped along the way by the Homunculus, a supernatural being that provides Ike with helpful advice and, of course, the ability to travel through time.
Information. I'd deeply appreciate it if you wouldn't disappoint me.
Shadow of Destiny is a tough game to talk about in a review since there's really not much to it in the way of actual gameplay. There are a few branching dialogue choices here and there, and several different endings that can be seen depending on the answers you give, but there's no real combat or action.
Okay, you've helped me make up my mind. A library it is.
Within its grand total of 10 chapters, the game more so works like an interactive mystery/thriller with far more emphasis on character development and their interpersonal relationships than well-timed button presses or twitchy reflexes. Shadow of Destiny takes place in the fictional town of Lebensbaum, and although it seems kind of open world, it's much more like an illusion of freedom. The town is basically walled off, and pre-scripted events play out depending on where you are and what you do. The only times that you'll ever have to walk around and explore is primarily when looking for the energy units that Ike's time-traveling device require in order to be used. Once Ike dies for the first time, our creepy friend the Homunculus will provide you with the ever-useful digipad and send you on your merry way.
Try out my powers a little, shall we?
The idea here is to root out the underlying cause of your murder and prevent it from ever taking place, and it's pretty wild to see how even the smallest things have an impact. For example, there's one section back in the Middle Ages where you can prevent a tree from being planted, which then alters the future by not giving the killer something to hide behind in the present. The digipad itself works kinda like a hub, with each time period shown in a menu, and each one can be visited by using a single energy unit. There are a handful of different periods to visit, and it's never overly convoluted. Most of the time you'll already know where you're headed before even opening up the device. Speaking of which, Shadow of Destiny uses a pretty simple menu system. Whenever you need to use an item, whether it's to trade something to another character or progress the storyline, you just tap the square button, scroll through the list, and select it. It's also worth noting how the usage of certain items over others can actually end up changing Ike's present-day timeline. As I had mentioned before, there are some dialogue choices that you'll have to make throughout the course of the game. They can be very important too, with most of them having a pretty big stake in whatever ending you may get. See, there are a total of 8 endings to Shadow of Destiny, though only 6 are available right off the bat. The other 2 will require you to first see the other 6 to unlock them.
God, no, this is not happening!
Luckily, it really isn't as time-consuming as it may sound. The whole game only takes roughly about 3 to 4 hours at the most to complete, and a good chunk of that time is spent watching cutscenes.
Hey, why did you come?
Graphically, Shadow of Destiny is pretty minimalistic, which I honestly think works for its atmosphere. The character design works pretty well, and the populated yet desolate nature of the city is very well represented. Remember, this was a pretty early game in the PS2 library, and all things considered, it does look pretty good.
What the?
The sound in Shadow of Destiny is, in my opinion, its strongest asset, well, outside of its story. The sound design is superb and really helps to pull the game together. The voice acting, for the most part, is good, but there are a few characters here and there that will no doubt get under your skin.
Whoa! You scared me half to death!
Shadow of Destiny is a really hard game to write a review on since it's not really a game in the traditional sense. Even still, it's not hard to recommend to anyone who enjoys a good mystery story. It's pretty hard to compare to anything, but if I had to, I would say that the closest thing I could think of would probably be Indigo Prophecy or Heavy Rain, even though both of those games still require more overall gameplay than Shadow of Destiny.
I'm only trying to help you. Certainly not murder you. It's just that I don't know how to give you any direct help. And that's the truth.
It's not really a hard game to find, and when you do find it, it goes for pretty reasonable prices. I highly suggest picking it up if you come across it, whether it be on the PS2, the PC, or even the re-release on the PSP. It's a great game that's definitely worth playing through at least once.
What happened?
I think it was destiny.